PepsiCo has always been a finance academy company. We've been recognized that for many, many years, typically one of the top 2 or 3 companies for finance talent. But we can't rest on that. I mean, that's something that the world changes. If we don't change along with it, we wouldn't be an academy company going forward. We needed to become more strategic in our orientation. Finance has always been terrific in terms of controls, planning, budget management, all of those types of things. Collecting cash, that sort of basic focus has always been quite good. But as the company's demands for both better connected finance and strategy, and in addition to that, more rapidly evolving strategy, we as finance really need to respond and evolve as well. We need to become more externally focused as a function. Our function, as I said, has always been quite good at sort of managing the inside of the company. But as we've talked more broadly as a finance organization, all of the stuff that's interesting right now happens outside the walls and outside the window, not inside the building. I wanted to make sure that we gave our top talent leadership development, because leadership is something that you can learn and it's something that you can practice and get better at over time. And to use a program to give good leadership development, leveraging PepsiCo's accelerated leadership program, I thought made a lot of sense. I also wanted to partner with a top university because I thought a top business school could bring perspective that, frankly, again, looking outside the company was probably going to give us a better answer. The University of Chicago obviously is a terrific school in that regard. Certainly one of the tops in the country, has often been rated #1. I'm also an alum, so that certainly made it attractive. But from my perspective, I thought Chicago could bring a lot of things to the PepsiCo finance talent, and the Booth School continues to evolve as well and get better in that regard. The level that we had of executive engagement inside of PepsiCo was terrific. I mean, whether it was our CHRO, our CEO coming in and being a part of it, and really the broader PepsiCo executive organization really dug in and wanted to make this a success. The combination of Mark Lewis, Professors Bunch and Rock, I thought did a fantastic job, really bringing a lot of their outside thinking into the organization. And as a result of that, our participants were just overwhelmingly positive about the program. Frankly, I've seen a difference in their performance as they've come back. When you do one of these action learning projects, you're always a little bit concerned that, is it going to be too shallow? Is it going to feel artificial? And I thought in particular, Greg Bunch just did a great job really making it real for them and making the situation as almost venture capital-like as he could. The result of that was when the teams came forward, they really had thought through their ideas with a lot of depth. They were enthusiastic about it. They were pitching it like business owners and really, I think, got a lot out of the process of doing that. Sort of makes you, I think, more suited to when you go and do it back when you're in your job. You've gone through that already, so you have a sense for how things are supposed to come together. I think in many ways the action learning part of it was probably the most critical element of what we were doing, and certainly what Chicago brought in that regard was terrific. One of the things I really liked about it was it made them uncomfortable. You know, if you have people come in and they're sort of going through rote book learning, you know, they're not going to get that much out of it. They may enjoy it during the time if they're more academically oriented or less enjoy it, but the fact is that doesn't get them out of their comfort zone. If you're not a little bit frightened, if it doesn't feel a little uncomfortable, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. This one made them uncomfortable, and to me there was a lot of value in that. Just trying to enable people to create networks. Right? We're in 200 countries. We're in basically every time zone on Earth. It's difficult for people to get the connections that they need, frankly, in order to be effective. And in running a global function, my view is those connections are what make us share best practices. It's what makes us better over time, particularly as we try to get more externally oriented. Now, when I started with this company 27 years ago, it wasn't hard to know everybody because the place was so much smaller. But as a big company right now, if you don't force those interactions and force people to spend time together, you won't get them, and frankly, I think you miss out as a company. The program did a wonderful job for us in that regard. You need to become a more globally diverse executive in order to become successful. And that basic notion of forcing people to think more externally and in an action learning environment, 10 out of 10. I mean, we absolutely nailed that. University of Chicago and Booth absolutely nailed that, and I felt like we got maximum value out of that. The last thing I'd just point to is something that Professor Lurie probably said 30 or 40 years ago, which is the odds that I can teach you something specific and have you remember it when you need it 20 years later are incredibly low. But if I can teach you a way of thinking, that's something that you can carry forward with you. As a graduate of the school, I find that in my job every day. I'm hopeful that our learning grads will also take that forward with them as well.